And today we are talking about growing ESD. And this is the Association of ESD Professionals. And we have the amazing speaker, Samantha Waterman. And she is the founding executive director of the Association of ESD Professionals. Samantha is a Politico, lawyer, manager, writer, and budding public speaker. She has spent her career working in politics, on campaigns, in government, in the law, in the California water industry, and in violence prevention. At the Association of ESD Professionals, Samantha is excited to be leading a team that is working hard to build an institution that will support ESD practitioners and advocates, people from all walks of life who spend their days making the lives of strangers a little bit better. Take it away, Samantha. Oh, I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Sorry, I muted for a minute. I apologize. Thank you so much, Tasha, for that introduction. And I'm very excited to be here and to speak to all of you about the association. So I'm going to launch right into it, and give me a second. I'm going to share the screen in a specific way because of what I did. Okay, so hopefully you all can see the presentation now. Can you? Yes, okay, good, excellent. So again, my name is Samantha Waterman, and I'm the executive director of the Association of ESD Professionals. And I'm very excited to tell you a little bit about the association. When I first started this project, I began asking ESD professionals about the history of ESD. And I learned about self-defense practiced as far back as when Americans lived as slaves, and that pioneers of ESD, in the 1970s saw a need for developing self-defense for women and by women, creating safe spaces, understanding that attackers were likely to be familiar, that the physical abilities of ESD students would vary dramatically, and so much more. The association is embracing ESD as it is today, a practice that empowers women, and that may have started in the 70s, but is walking boldly into the 21st century by welcoming people of all genders, backgrounds, abilities, and experiences. The association is the brainchild of Judith Sittithman, who had the vision to see that the ESD community could be helped by a professional association, and that an association could help grow the profession. She, and now I, believe that to dramatically reduce interpersonal violence, excuse me, we need to get ESD to as many people as possible in as many places as possible all over the world. To help fulfill that mission, the association is joining the cause. And we are here to help you. We are here to make your lives easier, to make the lives of all ESD professionals easier. We want to ease burdens so that you can focus on doing what you do best. And in order to get ESD to people everywhere, we believe that empowerment self-defense must be universally recognized as a profession. We must expand the pool of ESD instructors and advocates and researchers and writers and so much more. We must help ESD earn the respect of governments and the public at large. And it would help if we could also make the ESD acronym well known too. So what can we do for you? The association will be providing networking opportunities that will include a LinkedIn-like feed and the ability to form community groups through our website. So you could form a group around, your geographic region, areas of professional interest, or just groups of old friends. We will host events, including our annual event in April, where we'll honor ESD professionals, and we'll also host smaller events as well for the exchange of ideas and interesting conversations. And we'll offer career and business support. This means offering support for the non-ESD things you may not want to do, but that you have to do. So the association can't do your paperwork for you, but we can make the ins and outs of the business side of things easier. And it's not sexy, but we'll provide access to insurance for practitioners, a jobs board for employers and potential employees, and we'll create tips and how-tos on what I like to call the boring stuff. So bylaws, incorporation, accounting, marketing, other ins and outs of conducting business and volunteering your time, whether you practice ESD part-time and work at volunteer, or you work at a variety of locations, or maybe you run a full-time ESD practice out of one brick and mortar location, or any variation there. We'll have written material, videos, tutorials, webinars, and we'll try to make at least some of it fun. We are also developing a credentialing program along with a continuing education and accreditation program. Our credentialing program is pretty straightforward. It's still in development, so this is just broad strokes, but you submit an application, you study for the exam, you take the exam, and then following years, you just have to keep current on your continuing education. And to do that, you'll take ESD courses from accredited instructors, update your skills, some ethics courses, things like that from the association and from others, and then let the association know that you're up to date every few years. And for accreditation, whether you're an ESD teaching organization or individual trainer, you'll be able to apply to the association for accreditation and increase demand for your services as a provider of services. All of these programs are, like I said, under development, and we're continuing to get input from people in the ESD community through an advisory council. And we will be continuing that work and forming additional advisory councils for other programs we develop as well, I should mention. We will also be creating an advocacy and lobbying program, which is dear to my heart because my background is in politics. So I'm very excited about that. And we'll be collaborating in current efforts and also launching new ones on that front. And we will sponsor and promote research projects. We'll host and produce publications from a blog to a magazine, much more. And we will be adopting a code of ethics and creating a code of conduct. Now, it is the vision of the Association of ESD Professionals to put all this together to provide support to ESD instructors and other ESD professionals to elevate and fortify the profession, to expand the reach of ESD and grow public awareness, to enhance the reputation of ESD with governments and the public, to build networks and foster collaboration among ESD individuals and organizations, and between ESD professionals and others working in violence prevention world, in martial arts and in sports and social work, law enforcement, and the corporate world. To influence public policy and increase government funding through advocacy and lobbying. Well, I'm just saying that's another piece of our vision, as well as promoting and sharing research. And by doing so, not only sharing important information, but also helping to give ESD research real world impact and bring attention and hopefully funds to researchers and connect researchers with one another as well, which will also bolster research. We also aim to standardize the practice of ESD with credentialing and ethical and procedural guidelines to ensure safety and engender public trust. And ultimately, to establish ESD as an essential tool for empowerment and ending the global violence epidemic while advancing racial and social justice goals. The association is also sponsoring a few projects, and I'm sure we will sponsor many more in the future. Julie Harmon at Impact Safety in Ohio is conducting a Women of Color study that will be ready early next year. The Violence Prevention Measurements Commission met earlier this spring, and was their mission to find tools that can be used to measure the efficacy of ESD, tools and measurements that organizations such as PAVE can use to persuade entities to bring ESD to their employees and members and teams and whatever kind of entity it is. Students. The chair of the commission, Dr. Yelena Nolan-Roll, has just released the commission's report, and that report is available on the association's website. The address for which I think is at the end, but I'll put it in the chat if I left it off. And you can also see bios for the Measurements Commission there. And I'm also very excited about this next project. So we are launching an ambitious effort to find every ESD professional in the world and to survey the principles of ESD as seen by practitioners and influenced by cultures, populations, laws, and regions around the globe. We hope to produce a report about how different people define ESD and the principles of ESD, and to create a robust ESD directory. We were going to try to employ some graduate students to really dive into this project. So it's really in its conceptual stage right now, but we are taking steps to look for grad students and all of that. And we are working with PAVE Prevention and Power of XYZ on this, especially closely with PAVE Prevention and Luis, the COO of PAVE. The association has already reached a number of milestones, though I'm afraid to say a lot of them aren't visible to the public yet, but they will be very, very soon. We have a diverse board of 7 directors. We've held a town hall and a leadership meeting. We've gathered ESD volunteers from the community to form the advisory council I'd mentioned earlier. With the help of Power of XYZ, we've created a basic website and branding and have opened up our social media channels. And in the next 5 to 6 weeks, or in about 5 to 6 weeks, we hope to unveil our expanded website, our full service members portal, and we'll be providing access to liability insurance for ESD instructors. I'm very excited. We've just found a way to actually do this, and we'll be able to launch that with the rest of the expanded website. And our jobs board, we also just signed on with someone to do that. So we've got that almost ready to go, and that will also be launched at about the same time, and that will help the ESD community connect with one another in finding and offering jobs. And we are on track to begin registering members of the association in just a couple of weeks, maybe even sooner. Looking forward, we hope to have a code of ethics and conduct up by the end of the year. In addition, our credentialing program development is moving quickly, and we are ambitiously hoping to have it ready this spring. We'll see how that goes, but we are deep in development. That's being headed up by Sheila Watson, who's doing a fabulous job. We'll also be developing a magazine and eventually a podcast, as well as a blog. The magazine will tell stories in a variety of ways. I'm pretty excited about our concept of the magazine, and can't wait to start developing it, but we'll take submissions from the ESD community for a lot of things like articles, creative writing, poetry, art, photography. We'll interview and feature ESD professionals in the magazine. We'll feature research and researchers. We'll provide some news coverage, and we'll write a few pieces about the association itself. And it is an online magazine. And beginning early next year, we'll start developing the advocacy and lobbying program I spoke about. Our annual event will be held in April, and we'll feature members and make some awards to appreciate pioneers of ESD and others dedicated to the profession and the mission. In everything the association does, we will always keep our eyes on the mission. And part of the mission is to serve the mission of ESD to prevent violence worldwide through empowerment. It is the mission of the association to elevate the ESD profession, support ESD professionals, foster collaboration, expand the reach of ESD to better enable individuals and organizations to achieve our shared goals. And together, we can change the world. Our website has bios of our team, as well as the Measurements Commission. Our team is made up of a board of directors, employees, and consultants. And we have wonderful partners in PAVE Prevention, Power of XYZ, and of course, Judith Siddickman, who makes it all possible. And ESD Global has also been incredibly supportive and helpful to us as well. And Tasha did a little introduction of me in the beginning. I'll just tell you a little bit about me, which is that my background is in politics, and I'm also an attorney. I worked for the former mayor of Los Angeles, Antonio Villaraigosa, for years, and also worked on a variety of national, state, and Los Angeles campaigns. And then I spent a little bit of time in the California water industry, which was a little random for me, but I learned that water conveyance and hydrogeology can be quite fascinating. Who knew? And then last November, Judith happily recruited me to this ambitious project, and I'm very much enjoying the challenge, learning about the incredible work of empowerment self-defense, and meeting the wonderful, dedicated, and inspiring people who do it. And that, in a nutshell, is the Association of ESD Professionals. We're here to empower members to empower us all. And with that, I wanted to keep the presentation relatively short and leave time for questions. And if people don't have a lot of questions, I can prompt some questions myself and dive deeper into some of the areas. But you might want to ask about the board of directors, or what we envision for the credentialing and continuing education program so far, or the types of event we might host in the future, our magazine, or about membership and what that means, the database project, the future of partnerships. We spoke with someone just recently, and it's premature because we need to establish a really strong foundation before we get into future projects too much, but we're talking about doing a Girl Scout badge. There's so many things we can do. So the floor is open to questions if you all have any questions.
Samantha, thank you so much for your presentation, by the way. Really appreciate it. It's just nice to have an overview. I know that you want to reach as many ESD practitioners as possible. I know that that also is outside of the scope of ESDG. I would like to know how you're looking into and researching people who are outside of ESD Global, and what that process looks like in order to incorporate that into the credentialing process.
Well, we're a separate entity than ESD Global. So everything we do is both outside of and inclusive of ESD Global. So ESD Global is one ESD organization. It's a leadership organization, no doubt, but there are also many others. And as I move forward and keep learning, there are many others that, people who've been working in ESD for 20, 30 years might not have heard of yet, because they're somewhere else in the world and we're not all connected yet. And so that's one of the goals of the association, is to find and locate everyone and then get everyone connected. And so as far as ESD Global goes, Molly, who's the executive director, has been very supportive and helpful, and helping us get established with just little behind the scenes kinds of things, contracts and like I said before, the boring stuff. But other than that, we're an independent association, and we are going to be working with as many ESD organizations as we can. So I'm not sure that completely answered your question, but you can emphasize part of your question again if I missed some of it.
No, I think that you answered it well. There was one other question in the chat, and then I also see a hand up. Chimazi, I'm sorry that I'm butchering your name. So we'll get to you after we answer this one question. So the question was that, are you only focusing on the US?
No, we are not. So now we're brand new. And so a lot of what we're doing is just getting ourselves established, creating a foundation. So we're a little more focused on the United States right now, because I'm American and in the United States, and that's it. But our staff is actually already international. So Yelena Nolan Roll is one of our senior consultants, and she is based in Bristol in the UK. Sheila Watson, another senior consultant, is based in Canada, in Victoria, in British Columbia. And our goal is to be a very international organization. And in fact, part of the purpose of that database project I mentioned, when I say find everyone in ESD, I mean all over the world, countries everywhere. And I know that there are folks who are doing either ESD proper or forms of self-defense and empowerment that are very similar. And so we want to learn about all of that. And so we can make sure that we're connected to everybody on nearly every continent. And we are also going to be looking at doing a lot of translations of various materials and website into different languages. It's going to be an ongoing process. I'm sure we'll pick a few languages and then we'll be missing a language someone wants. It'll take some time, but it is absolutely in the initial planning, planning thoughts to make sure that we do that as well. And that'll be for, some of the documents that we sponsor, and then also just the website itself. And in terms of international language, I should also mention that's one of the reasons that this Finding ESD Professionals Everywhere piece has taken on a secondary piece, which is looking at how different people define ESD in different places, because there are not only different languages spoken in different places, but even if we were all, let's say, speaking one language, English, French, Portuguese, whatever it is, we still might use different lingo to describe different aspects of empowerment, self-defense. And so that is one of the things we want to collect. So lingo as well as languages, and that has developed and reflects different cultures. And so, just within the US, there are different cultures and different styles. There are different styles that are reflected by different cultures, and then internationally, of course.
Absolutely. And I would imagine that different cultures and different locations have different issues when pertaining to violence prevention and self-defense. So we have Shimizi, and please correct me with the name. I do apologize. Would you unmute and then ask your question and state your name, please? I like making sure that I can correct myself with this.
Thank you very much, and I think you got it. It's amazing. It's amazing. You got it. I'm from Nigeria. I wish to thank Samantha for that great presentation. In fact, I've been so excited and happy here, following through the whole presentation since morning. Yeah, because like I did introduce myself earlier on, I am a university lecturer, a senior lecturer at the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, and the founder and the executive director, Equity Watch Initiative. And because my organization is domiciled in the university, we see majority of these cases, especially abuse and harassment of students. And again, given our situation in Nigeria, where there are so many laws that are never implemented, so many things happening, and you cannot hold people accountable, so many impunities, it is a great thing for me encountering ESD. I am only appreciating Samantha's presentation, and also asking, how is it possible for people from our side who are not really familiar with the concept of ESD to be part of this research? Because she talked about, a research that where people will be describing what ESD means to them. So I'm asking if it is possible for people around here to also be part of it, because the first training we took on ESD, I had to involve university professors, associate professors, about 5 of them were trained. And our understanding from the training and the little interaction I have had with the students show that people lack the total knowledge of what ESD is all about. And it is actually why I am here, because we really want to see how we can use these ESD principles and tools to impart our students, our both university and secondary school students in Nigeria. So please, I just want to appreciate her, and also use this forum to say that we are so happy with ESD programs, and we are willing to incorporate it in our work. Thank you.
Thank you, Chimizi. I would love to follow up with you about some of what you just mentioned. The research project has not yet begun. And we want to talk to, everybody. So, but not only that, but maybe you might be able to participate and help make it happen. So I would love to explore those opportunities with you. Maybe, we can schedule something, me, you, and Luis at PAVE, to talk about, either how you can provide us information, or how you can, help us do the study, or help us find graduate students or, any combination thereof. So thank you for your interest and excitement and all the amazing work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Samantha, thank you so much. Another one that has come up is, if for private businesses, there's some ESD organizations that have lots of people working and it's more turnkey, and there's other ones that are just starting out or smaller, or they're a one-person show. How are you going to be able to accommodate them when it comes to accreditations and when it comes to ongoing trainings, so that is there a sliding scale fee? Are you working so that you can help them economically? And then also different parts of the world have different currencies, different price ranges. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, this is something we've given a lot of thought to in terms of membership, credentialing, accreditation, all of that. We haven't gotten as far as setting fees yet, but this is what we have talked about and we are going to be doing with a lot of programs. And that is, number one, that we will have financial assistance available in the form of, different fees, lower fees. And that will be something that we'll probably, at least in the beginning, do on a case-by-case basis, and you'll just contact us privately and no one will know. And, we'll handle that as it comes. We're very cognizant of the fact that there are small operations that a lot of people, volunteer their time, there's so many different, there's a huge financial range in the ESD world. But in addition to that, on the international point, we've also thought about this, and I actually found, I think it's The Economist has a, what is it called? It's like a type of cost of living scale. So not only are we cognizant that for people from outside the United States, when they join, that there are different currencies, but there are also different costs of living, so you can't just convert the currency. You actually have to take into account how much it costs to live in that place and what the currency is valued at, et cetera, et cetera. And there are scales that actually do this for you. You subscribe, and then, basically we can make things much more equitable that way. And ultimately, not only myself, but definitely the board, we're all dedicated to making sure that everyone can participate. And one of the main purposes of the accreditation program is, yes, it facilitates the continuing education program, but it also is a way to give more exposure to ESD professionals and bring more business to ESD professionals, whether you're, a one-person operation and doing it part-time, or you have a whole big organization. So we are very cognizant of all those issues, are taking them all into account as we move forward and develop these programs.
Thank you, Samantha. Another question that I'm asking personally, because I've gotten to know you, I know a little bit more of your history and your heart, your passion when it comes to women's work and this work. And I know that you don't necessarily have an ESD background, but what inspired you to want to take on this journey, this path?
The first answer is UD inspired me. That's the first short answer. And she can be very inspirational, no doubt. And the second answer is that, all I ever want to do with my career, with my time, is to, to be part of a solution, to honestly, to help save the world. I think about it all the time. On my off time, I listen to political podcasts and figure out how to save the world. That's just who I am. If I'm not helping and being part of a solution, then I feel lost, honestly, and a bit adrift. And so I find this anchoring and fulfilling and exciting and all of that. And so, and I can, as I've gotten to know more and more people in the ESD community, it is they who now inspire me. So the people I work with, and I see how hard they work and how dedicated you all are to this incredible, I don't know, craft is the right word, but mission. And that's inspires me over and over again every day. So I feel very blessed to be in this position.
Thank you. So when it comes to the work that you're doing, you're going to be bringing together people who have lots of different ideas, some polar ideas when it comes to self-defense and how it should be run, what should be incorporated, should weapons be incorporated, should they not? How are you honoring those voices and trying to bring together a collective global community?
Well, that big research project I keep mentioning because I'm so excited about it is one of the ways, because that is going to, it's a mechanism for collecting many different ideas, many different ways of looking at ESD, many different ways of practicing ESD, or maybe also we'll learn about how others practice different forms of self-defense that may not be ESD, but maybe they're, I don't know, like 50-75% aligned with ESD, and maybe we should just know about it, right? And people should start talking to each other, and maybe folks who are 75% aligned with ESD might become 100% aligned with ESD. And then, of course, defining ESD, the association is not going to define ESD itself, but we are going to, collect all of that information. And the advisory councils is the other way. We're using it for developing the credentialing program, but we will also use it for it and then other advisory councils for developing various programs. And that is a way for getting input from people in the ESD community and having them weigh in and saying, no, don't do it that way, do it this way. And that's just with respect to the development of our own programs. But the other thing is that we are going to use our events for this purpose as well. So for instance, aside from just annual events and conferences, what I'm excited about are roundtable discussions, actually. That's what I've had my eye on, even more than symposia, but we'll do all of it. And I mean, I already have ideas and all this, and it's premature. And so but there are so many issues around what you mentioned, Tasha, which is, or the person, whoever's question you read. I mean, there are different ideas about what is ESD and what isn't, and what's appropriate and what isn't appropriate, and what should be incorporated and what shouldn't be, and how to weigh those things. And I really want to host as many roundtable discussions about those things as possible, and amongst different communities and populations and cultures, so, and mixing of those things. So we're going to try to do kind of every variation on that. And I think that will be another way that will, ignite and continue and bolster and hopefully enrich all those conversations that go on now in smaller worlds, and connect more people to those conversations.
Awesome. So just to reiterate something that I heard you say was that, you are not defining what ESD is. It's the people who are going to be involved in working on different committees and sharing their voices with you. So I think that it's very important for them to know how to get in touch with you, different ways that they can get involved. So what are certain ways that they can get involved if they're inspired to do so? And also, can you share, there you go, your information.
Yep. So, and the website, which I did omit from this, so I can put it in the chat, it's the same as in the email address. So it's just www.esdprofessionals.org. But I'll put that in the chat. And everyone is welcome to contact me at any time. You could call, or you can, email, we could set up meetings. And I'm going to be doing, especially now that we almost have our major software pieces in place, or at least a lot of them, over the next few weeks. After we get over that big foundational hump, I'm going to be doing a lot more outreach than I've already been doing, and just reaching out to people one-on-one. And obviously I always welcome all introductions or questions or anything else. So, and yeah, that's that. Let me see if I can, I think I need to exit screen share so that I can go into the chat, and then I will put this, and that's the website. Whoops, okay, something didn't happen. Hold on, I put it in the wrong place somehow. I'm in the chat and it's got me in a direct message for some reason. So I'm having trouble, I'm not sure why that is. Send chat to everybody, everyone, there it is. Okay, let's try that. I'm not sure why it defaulted to that. Sorry, guys. So that's the website, and I'm Waterman at ESDprofessionals.org.
Perfect. So Samantha, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And you know, if anybody is interested in sharing their voice, if you have different opinions on what ESD is, definitely contact Samantha, because she wants to put all of this down. So she's getting all of the voices and all of the input so that they can sort of flesh out ideas and everything.
And thank you to you, Tasha, for participating and being so helpful, and also for this conference. And thank you to Sarah and MacArthur and Udit and everyone else for organizing this conference, because it's a great opportunity. And I know it's extra challenging in these COVID times. So you've done a great job. Thank you.